Tell me what's wrong with these tricks. I filmed a few clips and I just want you to pay attention to how I land tricks and how I flip them. And then we will discuss what's really going on. So like I said in the video where I got this new board, I decided to go with the smaller trucks, which you can see, these are both 8.5 boards. You can definitely see how much lower and more inward the trucks are on this board. This is the 8.25 and these are the 8.5 trucks. So same size board. And in theory, the Reddit post was saying that you would get less wheel bite on a board with smaller trucks because the board would need to lean in more, and I kept getting wheel bite. So I just assumed it's because the wheels were slightly bigger. These are actually the exact same wheels. They were 50 millimeters back when I got them, but these wore down a lot. These wheels are bigger, so I was just like, okay, well maybe the gap is a lot different because these are high trucks and these are, I believe, mids, but these are Thunder Lights. So I decided to do a little measuring tape and bring them, and you can go ahead, pause it, look at it, and then we go over here, and the distance from the two is actually less. So even if you look at the wheels, you got that. This is hard to do with one hand. And then that, there's actually a little more room because of these risers, which are shock pads. This doesn't have it. So I kept getting wheel bite, and I was like, why am I getting wheel bite? I have more space between the wheel and the board than this. And in theory, the Reddit post scientifically made sense, but I figured out why I'm getting more wheel bite. And it's simply because of a long explanation that I'm going to mention in this video. So if you noticed, there wasn't that much stability when I was landing tricks. I was kind of like carving out of landings, I was tic-tacking all over the place, I looked kind of like I was trying to stabilize and balance, and that's exactly what was going on. I know I made a video about a month or so, a little bit longer than that ago, talking about my science experiment board that I got, and I explained how in theory getting trucks that were smaller, like 8.25 trucks on an 8.5 board, should allow you to flip it faster and all of that. So that's technically true. Like, I haven't been able to triple flip in a while, but if you look at these clips, you can clearly tell I was getting kind of close to a triple flip, and I wasn't even trying that hard. So yes, flip tricks are easier, but they're not that much easier. If you can still just get a good pop and flick, that matters a lot more on the technique and strength than the trucks
being a little bit smaller. I mean, it gives you a slight advantage, but I wouldn't really even say it gives you much of an advantage. It's more of it just kind of makes the tricks a little easier, so you have to put less effort. But again, if you can't do the trick, you can't do the trick. So it's not like you'll just never be able to do the trick if you get normal sized trucks. So these trucks, in theory, yes, they give you a better flick and spins because the center of gravity gets a little smaller. Or it could just be because these are Thunder lights versus normals, the hollow lights. So that's that would probably be like used for a different test, where I would get the both hollow lights, 1.85, 1.825, and then see what happens. But for the whole point of this video, I'm just letting you guys know why I hate this board and why I was wrong. The biggest thing that I was wrong about was the wheel bite. So yeah, you do get a better flick. It is a little nicer, but you're sacrificing so much stability. So just carving around a bowl or skating a mini ramp doesn't feel good. Like, you just kind of feel like you're walking on eggshells, literally. So I wouldn't suggest doing it. And the big thing that I'm not digging about this, I mean, yeah, like carving, pumping around the skate park, it feels weird with trucks that are smaller. Like, you know, you get all this muscle memory built on normal trucks to deck ratios, so you kind of feel a little bit off with this. You know, you're really having to try to fight a bunch of different forces. You're trying to balance, even doing like certain grinds and flip tricks, like, you know, you can't scoop it, the power slides, everything is just different. So that one you can kind of adjust to, I'm assuming. I've gotten a little better at kind of getting my balance with the smaller trucks, but the biggest thing I was wrong about, and the whole reason I wanted to make this video, and why I'm definitely never doing this experiment again, and I am so hateful towards this setup that I may just have to cough up another $40, buy trucks the right size, and then maybe sell these or do a giveaway or something. But the big theory was that you get less wheel bite. And what the Redditor posters were saying is that because it's more inwards, and I explained it in my last video, that the truck has to squeeze more in to be able to hit it, versus if the truck was out, you know, the distance to travel is a lot shorter if it's sticking out more on the edge versus if it's in. It just creates a little more distance the truck actually has to bend for you to get wheel bite. So that was something I was looking forward to, was getting less wheel bite. But I get wheel bite like crazy on this. So like I showed you in the little experiment before, with the measuring, it doesn't make any sense because there's actually a little bit more distance between the wheel and the deck on this board. So why am I getting wheel bite? It's because they don't account for real life skating in scenarios when the person was doing the in theory test. So I learned it the hard way. When your weight is landing like here, because I mean I have big feet, so that's usually why people skate 8.5s. The pressure that you're putting, I'm trying to figure out a way to explain this. If the truck is here and you're putting the pressure here, you kind of have like a little bit more of the truck being out, like that weight is kind of balancing. Because that's the surface area that's holding you onto the ground. But because the area that's kind of holding you and connecting you to the ground is more narrow, your weight wants to apply more force on the outside, and that's what pushes it to bend over more. So even though it has to travel more distance to physically get a wheel bite, you're putting so much extra force that it completely just overshadows that slight advantage you've got. So, you know, you land a trick and you put weight down, you know, like on the pocket of the truck, you know, you're either, most of the time, like, not everybody lands completely perfect flat foot right over the bolts on every trick. You know, sometimes you land a little toe heavy, sometimes a little heel heavy, and, you know, the board will kind of bend, and, you know, because that's usually how you balance. Like, you know, you land on the ball of your foot, like when you're jumping off something or running, even if you're not skateboarding. So when you land in that area where the ball of your foot or your heel is, that weight is past the truck and the wheel. And there's obviously no support directly under that. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, but you know, it's sticking out more. So instead of you having that support of the wheel under you, your weight is kind of like a seesaw and it's going past it. So that weight is really pushing down. And so on top of having less stability, the gravity just, there's no support for your weight when you land a little bit heavy. So that's what really just jams the board down and in, because you know, it's like when you learn about like a short seesaw versus a long one. The longer one is going to take a lot more weight to be able to lift up the same amount of weight on the other side versus if it's just like a little small seesaw. So, you know, obviously like if you're doing a small board, you can push down a little bit and not much happens. Like, you know, you could barely push down on a small skateboard and it's going to go up vertically. But if you say have a long board, which if you've ever tried to ollie or do any tricks on a longboard, you know that you got to like really push with extra weight to be able to lift that side up. So it's kind of the same concept when it comes to this. So because you have the more narrow trucks, yes, the physical distance that the Reddit people were talking about from the wheel to the board when it's having to go more inwards, it is longer, but they're not accounting for all the other outside forces, and you get that short seesaw effect. So it's just going to accelerate and squeeze down a lot faster versus if it's spread out. So long story short, do not try to get some weird setup like this. Try to get a board that's the exact same width as the trucks. So if you got an 8.5 board, 8.5 trucks. Don't think, oh, if I get 8.25 trucks, that'll be good enough. Technically, you'll be able to skate it. I did tricks. Is it the best setup? No. I mean, it sounds like common sense, but if you get the right truck size, then everything is totally aligned. It's kind of like, you know, normal body posture. You know, you want your spine and your hips and knees and everything aligned. You don't want anything like off balance, no things being hunched over, no too much weight on one side versus the other. So you want everything aligned, and the same thing goes for a skate truck. So you want your board and the trucks to be completely aligned. You'll get more stability, less wheel bite. It'll be a more enjoyable experience. And I mean, yeah, your flip tricks may not flip as fast, but just flick a little bit harder. Like the difference is not noticeable enough to sacrifice the stability, the wheel bite, everything else. Like it's not worth it. Like even if you're doing flat grind games of skate and you just needed that extra flick, I don't think it's worth it. I mean, if you just want to be like a YouTuber who just wants to like film a quadruple kickflip in their garage for like a one-time only thing, then yeah, maybe you should get lighter and more narrow trucks. But for actual skating, no, don't do it. I wasted my money, so you guys could not waste your money in the future. Anyways, more skate videos, more reviews, more tricks, more other stuff is going to be coming up, and I'm getting really hardcore with this diet thing because I think my weight at this point is the biggest thing holding me back. So I guess stay tuned and see how that goes.